What's going on, guys? My name is Nick and welcome back to Olson Auto. Now, this is one of the first videos. I don't start many videos this late. It's like 6:30 or 5:30, 6:30, somewhere around there. And we're going to be working on the 1986 Honda XL250R, the little vintage dual sport build. It's a little foggy in the garage because I have the bullet heater going and it doesn't really like to run diesel, but I still run diesel through it anyway. It is absolutely frigid, as you guys can see. It is under 50 degrees out here in the garage, which is less than ideal. See my breath. Fake nice, bruh. Woo! Damn it. Anyway, we're working on the XL. Now, last video, guys, we got it looking all good. Now, of course, there's some surface rust forming, which is super unideal. Wish I could have got it galvy coated, but not gonna happen. As you can see, guys, it's forming on like all of the bolts, which is a super bummer, but it still looks super clean. I know they're all Loctited and torqued, so I'm okay with it. We got the swing arm all painted, the frame, the rear suspension, all of this, the engine in and bolted. I was gonna finish assembling the rear end, cause check this out. So the tires, I went to my buddy Seth's house, we mounted the front, put the wheel bearings in. This one is all set, just has to have the wheel refinished. This one, as you guys can see, fresh tire mounted. We must have popped the tube putting it in. This was the hardest tire like ever. This thing was such a pain to get on. This one went on in under 5 minutes from taking the tire off to putting the new one on. We fought this one for probably over an hour, and then I think we popped the tube. It came out like total trash. I'm probably going to have my guy Lance over at Metzger Motorworks take care of this with his tire machine because he's going to be able to do this really fast. He's going to be able to do it problem-free. It'll be probably, I don't know, probably 20 bucks plus the price of a new tube. Can't complain. That's really not that bad if I can get it done for 30 bucks. If I can get the tire done, it's just worth it at this point. Just because I can usually mount the tire, or I at least know people who can mount tires, and this went terribly, so I just want to get this bike done. Probably going to be popping these forks right here off and refinishing those, getting rid of all that junk, these old fork boots, refinishing them. I got new fork seals and fork oil. Gonna run them on the bench sander, bench grinder thing, and maybe I'll take apart more of the front end today, but fork seals, probably the big thing. Again, I have a new chain and sprocket kit right here. I obviously can't put the chain and sprocket kit on until the rear wheel is on, which is a bummer because I know that new chain and sprocket is going to look so fresh. I already have the new sprocket sitting up front and it looks great, so a little bit of a bummer there, a little bit of a letdown, but I'm going to go ahead and bump on the bullet heater one more time while I go ahead and pop those forks off. Let's get to time-lapsing. So I said, screw the bullet heater, that thing smells terrible and is loud. Your boy, the Eagle Scout, is cooking up a fire over here inside of Reginald. So yeah, now let's go ahead and let's take off those forks. This whole piece of the triple tree off. There's like 2 bolts holding it on through some bracketed wires. Now I should be able to push down and pull up while I twist and hopefully do something. Maybe. Hoping I can just kind of grind the rust away into the upper stanchion and triple tree. I don't want to punch myself in the face with this, but it'll be funny if I do, so I'm going to set up the camera in case I do. And triple tree, a little more resistance right at the end, is detached from the fork. Good God. So I will also be finishing this and putting some new neck bearings on because I have new ones. These are all crusty. How was the workout? All right, let's clean this thing up. So before I go ahead and finish this, I'm obviously going to have to do up here. You guys can see it was pretty hard to get in the bench grinder, but look at how shiny that is. That looks pretty good. Of course, I'll go over it with Scotch-Brite to give it a more even finish. And then, like I said, use the hand wire wheel and go in there. I just wanted to get it a little bit cleaned up, make sure it would clean up. And oh my, it definitely did. Now what I'm going to do is disassemble these forks. Yep, just like most other forks, there's going to be a few bolts down bottom. I believe we're going to take out that one, little Allen head, and then you'd be like a giant mega squirt gun. We're going to compress it, which I shouldn't really be able to do by hand right now, but I can. So that'll release all the fluid, and then we're going to take off the bolt on the top, pull the insides out, and then there should be one more bolt that allows us to get the actual stanchion out, and then go ahead and do the slidey trick to get the bushings and seals out. And then once the bushings and seals out, we clean everything up, clean this up. I'm not going to go over the Showa because that's a cool factory sticker. And yeah, basically let's disassemble this thing. There we go. That's the trick. Alright, so now I should be able to squirt this fluid out. Let's go ahead, get a drain pan, and see what we can do. Because I don't think the EPA is watching my videos, guys, I don't want any comments about this. Please don't comment about what this... In fairness, this had a lot more fluid in it than I thought it would. But now it's about dry. So this is the official fork rebuilding workbench, certified by nobody. We're going to go ahead, we're going to get this boot off first, if I can. Lower part of the fork off. This silver piece, or the chrome piece, is known as your stanchion. We're going to throw this stuff right away because it's all old and broken. Old fork oil smells oddly good. It actually smells more like old motor oil, but I'm going to pretend like it doesn't. Alright, so this leaves us with just the stanchion. Of course, this one needs to be cleaned up a lot. Not that this is a tutorial, but when the fork is in the bike, you're going to want to loosen this top nut first. I had to use an impact with a 1/2 inch to sort of blast it off, because obviously if you go to loosen it, it spins, it rotates. So yeah, I just use a 1/2 inch to blast it off. But usually loosen this top nut first, take out the insides, and then we're going to pull on that whole assembly, hoping to get that seal out. Hey, put your parts down on a workbench in the order they come out. Of course, everything is spring compressed, so be careful. And then we should be able to dump out. Oh, there's still fluid in there. A real tiny spring. A wash. Oh my god, my dad's gonna kill me. Sorry, Dad. There's, in case you're wondering why he's gonna be mad, there's a lot of fork oil on the ground. It's all over my hands. Uh-oh. I'm a bad person. So admittedly, it's been like 3 days since the last clip. Now today we have some big things planned. Gonna go pick up a new car for my friend Nate. So be sure you guys subscribe and stay tuned for that, because that's gonna be pretty cool. Really cool build, hopefully coming to the channel. I'm not sure what his plans are with it yet. I know it's gonna be his new daily, but that's besides the point. That's not in this video. We're gonna go finish up the fork seals. I've been neglecting doing this for 3 or 4 days now, because I gotta show you guys the development that happened, and it is not going to be fun. So this is where I last left off. There's supposed to be a C-clip in there, and it rotted away. So now I have to go ahead. I have to dig out what's left of the C-clip, clean it out. I have to get a new one, which kind of sucks. And I spilled fork oil like literally everywhere. Like everywhere. It's all over the impact. So a little bit of a bummer there. I got the bullet heater going because it's freezing in here. It is below 40, it's absolutely freezing, so gotta go ahead, take out what's left of that C-clip, pop the rest of the seal out, clean it all up, pop the new seal in, get a new seal clip. I might not be able to get them fully assembled today, but I can at least somewhat finish up the seal install. I just need to pick up those C-clips. Well, that clip wasn't as stuck as I thought it was. I got it off pretty easy. Sorry about the loud noises in the background, but now let's try and pry that seal out. It wasn't really rotted like I thought it was. It was just full of gunk. I used some brake clean, cleaned it up, and then used some snap ring pliers, the good old Blue Point snap ring pliers to go ahead and get it off. So let's go ahead and pop that last seal out, clean it up, and then throw the new seals in. So what I did was I put it on the wire wheel, and then I scotch braided it, and then I wire wheeled it again. Did mess up the sticker a little bit, but I think I got a pretty good finish on it. Looks a lot better than it did, but it's not perfect, that's for sure. I was a little inconsistent with my wire wheeling, so some spots I bled through a bit deeper than I did in some others. Some others I totally took off clear coat, some I didn't, some I just took off the oxidation, but I think it's pretty decent. So these are the fork seals right here, and you'll notice I'm on my kitchen counter. I did end up getting this portion all cleaned out. What I'm going to do now, I decided I'm going to be painting the forks a gloss black. I'm not totally content with the finish on it, and I think it'll look better if it's all painted. I'll try to see if I can find a new one of those stickers online somewhere, but I'm going to tape off these 4 little bolts and this one right here, and then probably just tape off the top and get to painting. I got to clean it off with alcohol first, but I think it'll be much, much better in gloss black. So I did manage to get the fork painted. It almost got messed up, but I saved it. It was just a little cold out. It actually came out what I would say is perfect. As you guys can see, there are pretty much no imperfections anywhere. Came out really, really good. So now I'm gonna go ahead, gonna let that dry inside a little bit so it gets nice and warm and hard. Throw the seals in and put the fork back together. So I managed to get the fork all back together. It feels pretty good. It feels like a fork. Now I did kind of guess on the fluid level. I did some generic, I believe it's Maxima brand, 10 weight fork oil. 10 weight is a pretty good weight depending on what you're using it for, but 10 weight is usually for dirt bikes, for on off-road use. Same for the street bike. I believe I use a 5 weight in that because I wanted it a bit softer. In any case, you guys can adjust forks based on fluid weight, but I have the fork assembled. I need to find my 17 and my impact so I can drive home this last nut up top. I have the nut on the bottom tight, I have the wiper on, I have the new seal on. Everything's looking good, it feels good. I only had enough fork fluid for 1 fork, so I gotta run out, and I'm really hoping Metzger Motorworks is open. I know it's Christmas Eve, but it is a weekday. I think it's Thursday, so we're hopefully gonna go see if he's open. I really hope he is, because I need this fork oil. I would say it's a cool cold start. But that's the exhaust, and it's got the stock exhaust back in it, so it's not exactly going to be impressive. Listen to that baby purr. Oh yeah. If you guys are ever in the Connecticut, Massachusetts, or Rhode Island area and you need anything motorcycle, dirt bike related, quad related, Metzger Motorworks in Putnam, Connecticut. Just grabbed some fork oil. I also dropped off the rear wheel since the tube was popped. He's gonna throw a new tube in it for me. Cheap, which is awesome. Lance, you're a godsend. He's great customer service. Always can get the parts you need, so make sure you guys hit him up. That being said, let's go finish rebuilding this fork and maybe even throw the steering bearings and the whole triple tree back together. Got the next fork up and ready to go. Obviously, I still have to paint it. Gotta get this old crusty boot off, but look. I actually have a drain pan this time. Alright, snap ring and then seal. So here is the lower part of the triple tree, sticks up in the front of the bike like that. There's a bearing that sits on here and one that sits up top. Right now I'm just sitting down. I marred it up a little bit when I was popping the bearing off of this, but it's fine. I've done it before. It's not the biggest deal. Just smooth it out so the bearing sits down flush, but not too much that you're taking off material. And then I'm going to throw the new bearing on, put the triple tree on. I'm painting the forks right now, so by the time this is done, the fork should be ready for reassembly. And then I'll throw the whole front end of the bike back on in this video, which is pretty sweet. That's good progress. What we have here is some really old, really nasty grease. Now normally I'd be wearing gloves for this. Don't have any gloves because of the big thing. Whereas I can't say what it is because YouTube will punish me. But have the new neck bearing right here. Pop the old one off and sanded it down. Gonna pack this full of grease. Send the race home in the actual dirt bike itself. This bearing will end up just sitting on and won't do anything until I tighten down the whole triple tree. Last coat is drying on the fork. Gonna give it 10 minutes, bring it inside. But like I said, pack the grease in these. It's a messy, messy process. It is no fun. Gotta do this, and then I have to send the race home on the other side of the frame. Also a pain in the butt, but do that. Actually, and then put the bearing on the triple tree itself. Fast orange and palm olive is a godsend combo. Got my hands pretty clean, but now I gotta grab those bearings again. Gotta put the dust seal on the triple tree, which I already have. Right here, I have the dust seal on the triple tree. Make sure that's the right way. It is. And then the bearing goes on top. Then I can send this up. Put the other bearing. I gotta send the races in first, which I'll go do now. Gotta do the races. So I was able to get the other fork rebuilt, guys. Check this out. So when we got to the front tire, we got the new bearing in there. It all works good. Now, I did just test the speedo cable. Sadly, I don't know if it's up in here, maybe broken or disconnected, but we're going to research that further because the speedo has to work on this bike. I'm going to sell it as street legal. Got the new accordion pleated fork boots, all nice and rubbery, unlike those old crusty ones in the trash. It's looking good. It's obviously just mocked up right now, but that's about what it's going to look like with the all fresh black forks. Actually looks good. The reason it's mocked up is because I still have to refinish this front wheel with the wire wheel, Scotch-Brite, make it look all pretty. Got a bunch of work to do up front, guys, but essentially the front end of the bike has the new steering bearings in. It's got brand new fork seals, brand new fork fluid, both of the forks feel even. It's got new wheel bearings, new tire and tube. It's getting there. We're going to have 2 new blinkers, grips, clutch cable. The throttle cables are mint. I'm debating doing a front brake line because it's a little crusty if you couldn't tell. I did purchase new brake shoes, but I couldn't get them in the actual brake. I couldn't get them in the wheel. They fit the shoe fine, but they just wouldn't go in the wheel, so I didn't put them in. So that's where we made it today, guys. We made a bunch of progress over the last couple days. Got the fork seals all finished. Got the steering bearings finished. Got the front end ready to be reassembled. Probably going to spray the bars. Obviously, you have to fix the speedo. But we're getting really close. Once the rear wheel has its new tube, I think we can actually try to start the bike again and ride it. Like, after that, it's going to be a few little things like blinkers and all the little accessories, getting the battery all set up. But it is very close to being ready. So if you guys like this build and you want to see more content, I've been uploading weekly on this bike. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you guys like the video, be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below what you're working on. My battery just died recording the outro, so I had to swap it out. But like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.